It's the weekly armchair kickoff.
Hello and welcome to the weekly armchair kickoff, Devil's Advocate. I'm Callum McFadden, and tonight I am joined by Keane and Jamie to talk all things Manchester United, especially Burnley, because that's the big game that's coming up this week. A comment already saying can't wait for this one from Tim Stockton. That's the sort of week that Manchester United have in front of them here. It's a week where you could potentially have a couple of victories, and the delight will be there for all to see and all to hear as well. First of all, Keane, how are you?
I'm very good now. I'm very good, Callum. Thanks for asking. Happy New Year to you. I haven't seen you since last year. Long time ago now, but yeah, glad to see you again. And it's great to talk about Manchester United, because last time we talked about United in previously last year, like, it wasn't a very positive conversation. But it's mad how what a couple of weeks can do, and now we're in a very good spot at the moment.
Absolutely, we're in a good spot. And Jamie, this is the first time I've been on live with you. How are you?
Yeah, I was just about to say that to you, Callum, before we went live. Nice to meet you, mate. But I've had a little bit of rejigging of my screen, so we're a little bit blurry for some reason. I don't know why, but I was going to say it beforehand. But obviously, really nice to meet you, mate. Hopefully, we'll get to know each other, I'm sure, quite well, because Keane brings me on the platform quite a lot. But yeah, really nice to meet you, mate. Hope you had a good Christmas and New Year anyway.
Yeah, it was good, and I have to say, as Keane, you alluded to it, with Manchester United's performances in the league, it's definitely been a good festive period. Now, the Carabao Cup, of course, was a disappointment. Burnley is the game that's coming up, but let's just recap on that Watford game. I'll come to you first in this one, Keane. It wasn't a blockbuster display at times. The game was a bit boring. There weren't a lot of chances in certain periods of the game, but crucially, a win is a win.
Yeah, like when you look at, when you consider, like, Manchester United made 9 changes yesterday. Like, when you make 9 changes at any level, like, there always is going to be a dip in performance. Like, you see it with most teams. When you make that many changes, the performance drops, because obviously the quality drops from your first team to kind of the fringe players. All in all, like, I think it was more of a job done type of situation, because, like, look, the FA Cup, like, is a very important competition, and look, we all have our own kind of romantic feeling towards the FA Cup. Like, everyone says it, like, the magic the FA Cup, and it is a very special competition. But Manchester United are in a title race at the moment, and you have to. I suppose United had to look at the game against Burnley being the game in hand, on Tuesday, and you have to look at that as, like, a potential chance to go to Anfield, top the league. So I think that's why Ollie, made the 9 changes. But again, no disrespect to Watford, but the 9 changes were enough. Like, there's enough quality in that team to get the job done, which it was. For me, it was a snatch and grab. It was literally professional performance, get the goal, and then we were kind of in third gear then. I think we were kind of stuck in third gear after we scored the goal. I think United just didn't have to go too gung ho. And I know there's good individual performances in that team yesterday. I thought Scott McTominay, fellow Scotsman with Callum, like, he was fantastic yesterday. I thought there was a very good performance. And again, for me, like, he's one of my favourite players. People know who watch his channel. I'm very vocal. I love Scott. Like, he epitomizes everything that is about Manchester United. He has the DNA of a Man United player, though, contrary to popular. So I'm not going to call it popular opinion, because it's most definitely not a popular opinion. But he most definitely has the DNA of Manchester United. And seeing him get that captain's armband yesterday, it made me happy, because he's one of my favourite players. And just Donny van de Beek yesterday, I think he exuded class yesterday. Everything about him, like, in terms of his moving off the ball, his linking up of play, his one-touch passing, I thought was quite fantastic. And I think he's shown in that game that maybe he is an option this week if we do need that extra creative edge. Now, I think against Burnley you'll need that, but against Liverpool, I know we'll talk about later on in the week and later on the show, but I think that's another kettle of fish. But all in all, happy that we got the result, and looking ahead now to a massive week for United.
It is a massive week. You're right when you say it was a professional performance. I'm going to come to you in this one, Jamie, and I want to get your perspective on McTominay leading the side. I thought he obviously played well in the game. He gets the headlines for the right reasons again as well. Do you think he's someone that's a real leader within that United team?
I don't think he's quite there yet with regards to his full development, Scott, but he's definitely got all the characters you'd be looking for a potential future captain. I think he's severely underrated, particularly by rival fans. I'm on the same wavelength as Keane. I really like him. I like that he's a British player as well. Not that it matters, but it's nice to see like good quality British players coming through the academy. I think it's important for a club to bring British-based players or a certain base player from the country they're at, so Italians, Italy sort of thing. Hopefully you'll know what I mean by that. So I think it's good that we've got good quality players coming through. He obviously he's in the Scotland team now as well. He's highly thought of by the national team, and I think he's really growing into a quality player. He's a bit inconsistent at times. He needs to use the ball progressively a little bit better sometimes for me, but I tweeted last night. He's just like a fan, ain't he? If he wasn't a footballer, he'd be in the Stretford End, wouldn't he, with his mates? You know, he's one of them. So I think that's why, like, obviously there's been different bits and pieces written about him in the past, and particularly something in the very sort of the last yesterday that a bit negative towards him, but it's propaganda and clickbait. When you look at the facts with Scott McTominay, he's got a lot of potential. He's playing in a team that's sort of pushing for a title at the moment, and he's exceeding what a lot of people think is his ability level. So you can't question that. And his attitude towards the badge is second to none. Give me 11 Scott McTominays all day. Well, maybe 10, maybe Bruno as well, Keane. But his attitude is absolutely top class, and I just love him purely for the fact of he's just like me. He loves the club. You know, and he's living the dream, isn't he? You know, I look at him and I can't help but be jealous of him. I'm thinking you're living the dream, man. Like you're playing for Man United, my absolute dream. But I love watching him. I love his characterisms, as I mentioned earlier, and he's got that little bit of arrogance as well from a United player who gets stuck in. He does the dirty work sometimes for the team, and I feel like he complements Fred, who's usually his partner in crime in that midfield, really well. They bring quite a lot of good qualities out in each other, but for such a young player, the potential level for him is fantastic. Anybody that doesn't rate Scott McTominay and what he brings to the Man United team, and I'm going to be blunt with this one, they don't know nothing about football. I was having a chat with one of the lads in the office the other day who follows Newcastle, and he hates McTominay. He thinks he's rubbish. And I'm like, yeah, you just stick with Isaac Hayden in your midfield, mate. Don't worry about it. Because he was like, I wouldn't get in our midfield. I was like, you're talking rubbish there, you know. But we'll keep it clean, so I won't be saying any more rubbish quotes. But I was just like, you need to go and have a word with yourself, son. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't rate Scott McTominay, you don't rate football. So, thank you very much, Tim. Tim, you're too nice to me, you know. You need to give me a nasty comment. You're always saying good things about me. But I appreciate it, mate. Nice to have you in the comments, and hello to everybody else. I seen Danielle's comment earlier. So hello to everybody that's watching as well. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas and New Year, if I haven't already interacted with you already. But yeah, I'm going to stop talking now, Callum. Sorry.
Don't be daft. One negative from the game was Eric Bailly. He's been a really impressive performer in recent times for United. He's grown into that centre-back position alongside the captain, Harry Maguire. To see him go off injured with what looked like a nasty injury, Keane, how concerning is that for you?
Eric Bailly's just unlucky, isn't he? Like, he's so unlucky. You look at the run of games he's after getting. Like, he played 4 games in 8 days, and if that was an injury where he jumped into a nasty tackle, or he done something that usually what he does in terms of like jumping into unnecessary tackles, it wasn't one of them. Now, it was an unlikely situation. I think, like, you look, there was talk that it was going to be a concussion. Thankfully, that's not the case. It's just a bang on the neck. He said all he's saying is a neck problem, but saying it's nothing too serious, which, you know, thank God that's the case. But like, he's a player who I think, Callum, in the last couple of weeks, he's shown his quality, and if he could stay fit, Manchester United have their centre back. Like there's a lot of talk in recent months saying Man United need a centre back. Man United need a centre back, and I was one of them. I'll be honest, I was one of them because obviously Eric Boye wasn't playing. Tuanzebe is injured too. I was in the boat as well that United maybe dip into the market and go and get a centre back. But then you look at the qualities of Eric Boye when he plays, and Phil Brown said this recently as well. Like he just exudes class when he's on the pitch. Like he's such a good centre back, and when you actually look at Eric Boye's style and you look at Harry Maguire's style, they complement each other, and that you can develop a partnership there. But like when you look at the way he got injured yesterday, it was Dean Henderson commanding his box, and that's something I'd actually like to highlight there. Dean Henderson was commanding it. Something that we sometimes lambast David De Gea for not doing, but Dean Henderson went out there and done what Van der Sar or Peter Schmeichel would have done, commanding your area and get rid of that ball at all costs and go and collect and go and command in your area. So yes, I'm really unhappy. Like I'm sad about the Eric Boye injury. I think it's unfortunate. I think it was massively unlucky on his part. But when you look at Dean Henderson taking no prisoners, that's a positive. Like I suppose there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that point. And the name of the show, of course, Devil's Advocate. So I'm going to play Devil's Advocate here with you, Jamie. Keane talked about United's need for a centre back. He talked about the improvement in Eric Bailly when he plays consistently. Is it not fair to say that Bailly can't be relied on? But if you look at his injury history, and United should get a centre half despite Bailly's upcoming form.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on, Callum. Like I think we're a very naive fan base if we think that Bailey is going to be relied upon for a whole calendar season. It's just not going to happen. There's too much proof in the pudding from his time at United, and he didn't have the best injury record when he was at Villarreal either. If people look back over his injury record there, he had some bad issues there as well. Obviously, was showing his ability. For Jose to bring him in, there's no question of his ability. He's a bit crazy, ain't he? Let's be honest. He'll do a bicycle kick in the penalty area, and you're like, what is he doing? He's playing with my anxiety here. But he's another one. He's a winner, you know, and he'll kick somebody if he needs to, and he's got that Nemanja Vidic spite about him, you know. He'll flick a little elbow at someone if he needs to and push someone, and he's got a little bit of spite about him, and he's just a quality centre half. But I think you're absolutely spot on there. I think it's a case of he can't be relied on, and to go to that next level, Man U are going to need to put someone with Maguire, because Maguire gets a lot of stick off of Man United fans, and sometimes I do understand that where it's coming from. He's not a player, but it ain't his fault how much we paid for him, you know. So we're going to have a little look at what's this. You can rely on Bailey up until. Yeah, that's it. But as I say, he can't be relied on longer term, and I feel like to progress as a club, and I've been quite vocal on this channel to say that I don't think we're the finished article yet, and I do feel like a centre half is a massive issue for us going forward to be at that top of really pushing for that title. I've said before, and hopefully I won't get shot down in the comments, I think we're in a false position at the moment. I don't realistically think we're a title-winning team, although we're pushing, and I hope it continues, of course. But I feel like there's a couple of holes in the squad at the moment, and centre half is definitely one. And I don't think Lindelof's a very good player, but he's not that world-class player that we need at that next level. I don't think he's ever going to be. He's going to be a very good squad player. I don't think he warrants how much we paid for him when he came from Benfica. He showed different qualities at a Benfica in a lower standard league. And when he came to the Premier League, he got found out very quickly, Lindelof. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I actually really like Victor. I think he's a very good ball-playing centre-back when he's against the right opponent. But we need somebody that brings the attributes like a Bailly, that brings the attributes that Maguire doesn't. That's about a centre-back pairing. Vidic and Ferdinand were very good at the attributes that the other one didn't have. That's why they were such a good pairing. And I feel like to progress on to that next phase of United's growth as a club under Ollie, he's going to have to go in the market for a centre-back. And I don't think Ollie's naive enough to realise that as well. He'll know that, hence why we're linked with Badiashile, hence why we're linked with Upamecano every couple of weeks. They will be looking at that. I just think they probably won't prioritise it in this window because it's a very hard window to work in January. So I'm pretty sure they'll be scouting 5-6 centre-backs around Europe. But just to echo what Keane says, it's just heartbreaking for Bailey because he is that player, but he just cannot stay fit and he won't stay fit. And I don't think there's any United fan out there that's naive enough to think he's going to be the answer longer term. And it's sad, really, because you do feel for him. I just hope he stays at the club. I don't want him to leave.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a player who, when fit, is very impressive. But as you've described there, the problem is he's not fit often enough. Jamie saying that he thinks Man City will win the title this season. Ruben Diaz is a massive buy for them as well. I agree he's a massive buy. Only time will tell whether City can come back. There was another comment talking about recruiting 3 players. I think realistically, off the top of my head anyway, I think you need a centre-back. I think another holding midfielder. I think someone like a Wilfred Ndidi would add an awful lot to United. And maybe controversially, I don't think United have a centre-forward that allows them to compete in the Champions League long-term. I like Martial, I love Rashford, but I just don't think those guys through the middle are enough to challenge at the top level. I think you need an out-and-out number 9. Cavani obviously has been very good since he came in. Realistically, he can't be relied on over the course of a season because of his age, but he can do a job as we've seen so far. But I think a number 9 has to be prioritised. Last thing I want to talk about in regards to the FA Cup with both of you. We've seen the magic of the FA Cup that you talked about earlier, Keane. Marine were playing Tottenham Hotspur today. I spoke to their manager, Neil Young, during the weekend, and he was emphasising how important the FA Cup can be for teams at all levels, from the 8th tier to the Premier League. With United going through, what kind of tie would you like to see United get? Would you like to see them get a test, or would you like to see them draw a Chorley or a Crawley, 2 teams that caused big upsets this weekend?
Do you know what? I'd like to see us get Chorley away, because, like, shout out to Chorley. I've seen their videos saying that Dell's something like you. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. Just shout out to them. You all hit the notes. Absolutely perfect, lads. Well done, and well done on beating the team and getting through to the next round. And also shout out to Crawley Town as well. A team Man United actually played in the FA Cup back in 2011. The only way is Essex star Mark Wright coming out, making his return to professional football as well today. So shout out to Mark Wright as well. And they beat Leeds United as well, who are a rival of Man United's. And shout out to Leeds. They may have got bet 3-0, but they're an entertaining team to watch. So shout out to Leeds as well and Bielsa for entertaining the fans. But yeah, if you had to give me a chance to be a betting man here, I'd say, look, give us Chorley away, because a team like that, getting a Manchester United at home, that does so much for them. Like, even see what Spurs and Marine done recently, with regards to like the virtual tickets and kind of what fantastic work that done for a club that size. And then Tottenham, obviously helping. Jose Mourinho even went in and he purchased a ticket. Tottenham fans done it as well. Steve, who's actually on this podcast, went in and purchased virtual tickets. William, who's on the podcast, went in and done it. So absolutely, I think a club like that getting a Man United can help kind of raise their profile, number 1. I think number 2, obviously, look, from a selfish point of view, it kind of gives us a chance to maybe rest a couple of first team players as well, and gets kind of us a chance also to maybe play a couple of the younger players. In a kind of an away tie that would be on a tight pitch, and would kind of give, it'd be kind of just good to kind of see us play against a different type of opposition. For the life of me, I just don't want to see Manchester United versus Wolves in the FA Cup. I'm sick to the teeth of playing Wolves. They frustrate me. Then they frustrate Man United. I just do not want to see us play Wolves. I'd rather us draw Liverpool than play Wolves, because Wolves just frustrate the life out of us, and we've all seen it. Like, like how they're so well organized, and how they kind of how they can be that I suppose Achilles heel, as they say. But yeah, absolutely, Chorley or Crawley Town away. Even though people say bring to Old Trafford and be an easy win, let's help the other clubs as well. I think, look, if we can do something with a Chorley, similar to what Spurs done with Marine, considering Manchester United's profile. That helped them, especially in these tough times when you consider the coronavirus lockdown and their lack of revenue.
Absolutely would. And for you, Jamie, do you agree? Would you like to see a Chorley or a Crawley face United in the Cup next?
I can echo what Keane said about Wolves. Anybody that's been watching this podcast since I've been on it will know that I've got a lot more shorter hair than I used to have because I changed the style of my hair from one like Keane's. And if we get Wolves and I have to watch 90 minutes of that, I will be bald. So I can't be dealing with that stress level of another Wolves game. But yeah, I'd like, to be honest with you, I'm going to go a little bit different to Keane. Like, I don't really care who we get because I think that if you're going to win, you're going to have to beat whoever you play anyway. So obviously it's a lot easier to progress in the tournament if you're getting lower standard teams. But I always like a big game. In the Champions League, I always want not that we'll talk about Champions League too much because it will get emotional, but like I always want the big teams. When you're in the Champions League and the draws are coming out and you're seeing like sort of Hapoel Tel Aviv or Barcelona, I want Barcelona in the last 16, you know, like that's just the way I am. I like the big games. I like trying to beat the big teams. And if it means we've got to get a Liverpool or a City, then bring them on, because if we're going to win the tournament, we're going to have to beat them teams down the line anyway. So it's a case of it is nice for the romance of the FA Cup to get a Chorley or a Crawley Town, which shout out to them, unbelievable result against Wolves today. But yeah, it's like for me, it doesn't really matter who you get. You put your team out, you put your 11 out for the game, and try and progress. It's like the Watford game. I know we've touched on it anyway briefly. I'm not going to touch on it too much, but it's just about winning games. And if you're going to win tournaments, you've got to win games. And sometimes you might win some ugly. Sometimes you might get a little romance. And it's one of them. You've got to win games to win the tournament. So for me, it doesn't really matter too much about who you get. But like Keane said, it is nice when you get a team from like the 5th or 6th tier of football, and you can have a little romantic fixture and that. But it always brings that added pressure as well. I don't like games like that because you're only one mistake away from getting absolutely trolled for years on Twitter about something like getting beat 1-0 by Chorley. But it's an easy way to progress in the tournament. But for me, bring them all on. You know, I feel like we've got the squad of players to beat anybody. So yeah, bring them all on.
Bring them on, indeed. Looking ahead to Burnley, the club's just been taken over. Sean Dyche will obviously be hoping, from his point of view, he can strengthen the club in this transfer window. They managed to go through in the FA Cup this weekend. They made a tough fight, but they ended up beating MK Dons in penalties. Looking ahead to this game, how crucial is it for United to get in front in this? I know you've said title race, Keane. I'm going to use title race loosely because I think that the league is just so open that it's hard to tell who will be competing towards the end of the season. But if you look at United's position just now, how massive is this game considering where they are in the table at this moment?
I think this game is absolutely massive considering the week that it is. Like, you look, we're going to Anfield next Sunday. Manchester United need to go out here and get 3 points at Burnley. Just go there after beating Burnley, make a statement. As Roy Keane would say, you go and you flex your muscles. You go out there and you beat Man United. And I think this is a perfect situation for the players to kind of puff their chests out and say, like, look, we're Man United. We're going to go to Burnley and we're going to win. Remember last season at this kind of stage in January, Burnley came to Old Trafford and beat us 2-0. And that was probably last season, that was my lowest point as a Manchester United fan. So like it was a really dark time. All the fan base were bickering with each other. You know, the football wasn't great, and then the saviour Bruno Fernandes came in, and we all know what's happened since then. We've been the most informed team in England since then. But I think this is a great opportunity to erase the memory of that game last season. You go in and make a statement, and then you go to Anfield, top the league. And if you said to me after that 6-1 against Tottenham Hotspur that Manchester United going into your first game against Liverpool on the 17th of January 2021, you will be top the league, I would have laughed. I would have said, "See, like, you're joking me, like, you're pulling my leg." Do you know, like, after that 6-1, I would have been like, not a hope, like that's not going to happen. But if we go there and we can make a statement, Bruno Fernandes can get on to show his quality. Cavani's back from suspension as well, which I think when I come to team selection, I'm going to outline exactly what I'm going to do here. But you beat Manchester United. I think that's the most important thing. You beat United and you go there. You go to Turf Moor, even though your man out of I'm Celebrity said it's my happy place. We want to make sure it's not a happy place for Burnley. We want to make this as dim and as grim as possible for him. Go there, make a statement, and get them 3 points, and let's bring on the Scousers next weekend.
Jamie, I'm just going to pose a different question to you. Manchester United beat Burnley. Are the title contenders?
Cheers, Callum. I think they are title contenders. Yeah, like how can I sit here and say they're not? And I'm a fan as well. So why not? Why can't we win the league? You know, but I think part of me in here is sort of saying, yeah, just be a little bit realistic, Jane. But this in here is like, we're going to win it, man. Of course we are. We're Man United. Like, why shouldn't we win it? Why can't we win it? But I try and look at football as diplomatically as I can, and sometimes I probably say things, and people are like, yeah, "Is he a Man United fan?" I'm not sure what he's. There's no United fan out there than me. You know, I love the club just as much as anybody. But I try to look at football a little bit more diplomatic than that, and think we're probably not quite there yet. Keane will know. I've done multiple shows with him, and I'm very consistent to say I don't think we are a title-winning squad at the moment. I think we're a couple of players short. I don't think we're too far away. And I love the fact as well, I was speaking to my dad earlier actually about this, and I said, I love how much we annoy other fans because they are absolutely bricking it at the thought of us winning the title, you know? And that just, I'm kind of like on that roller coaster of, I'm just enjoying it while it lasts, you know? It's like a good roller coaster at Alton Towers. You're on it for about 45 seconds and you're done, but you enjoy it while you're on there. And it's like, why not just enjoy the ride? And at the end of the ride, if we're champions, me and Keane, I'm sure we'll be on a podcast with a couple of Coronas. Do you know what I mean? And I like to think yourself as well, Callum. Like everyone will be absolutely buzzing. And at the moment, like why not? Like that's where my head is. We physically can do it. It's not impossible. But I see someone's comment earlier. I'm not too sure if it was Jamie Gretton. I City will win it. Someone said it anyway, so if it wasn't you, Jamie, I do apologise. But I actually fancy City. I think Liverpool are a little bit too inconsistent. They've got too many injuries. But it's all about keeping players and squad fit for me, and Ollie picking the right teams for the game. But who am I to sit here and say we can't win it? Like we can go top on Tuesday, and if we go to Anfield and get a result there, which we are going to get a result there, then who knows? Like why not? But we've got a tough second half of the season, but so is every other team. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. People are going to drop points. We're going to drop points. Liverpool are going to drop points. Thank you, Jamie, mate. Cheers. Good first name as well, Jamie, by the way. I'm only joking. But no, like, why not? And I know you put me a bit under pressure there, but I don't know, maybe I've been a little bit sort of in the background with this sort of question. And maybe it's took for you, Callum, to bring it out of me. But why can't we do it, man? And I'm sure we're going to go to Burnley. I'm going to be sitting on my couch, everyone else praying we can get the job done. And it's just a Leicester City 0.2. It's win one game, on to the next one, on to the next one. Let's just not start looking ahead and take one.
The words of Shane Downey,
time.
Jamie, 21 is coming.
Yeah, that's it. I know, Shane. Just ignore me because I'm going to have to move my laptop because I'm going to run out of battery. So I do apologise. But yeah,
I'll let you do that. While you're doing that, Keane, I gave Jamie a tough question. I'm going to give you a very tough question now as well. If United fail to win tomorrow, it could be a crushing disappointment given the fact that they're playing Liverpool at the weekend. With the nature of Anfield coming up, is this a must-win?
This game against Burnley is absolutely must-win. It's so important that we go to Anfield, top the league, because I think psychologically for the players it'll give them a boost. Because you look at recent times in the last 12 months, we've lost 4 semi-finals. And I think mentally for the players, that's probably tough to take. You look at this, you win this important game against Burnley, it proves that we can maybe get over the line when the pressure is on. So I think recently the pressure hasn't been on, and that's probably why the form has been so good. That's why we've been picking up win after win after win after win. Now this is a time where the pressure is going to be ramped up. On Ollie, the pressure is going to be ramped up on the players. I think it's must win that we go there. Then we go to Anfield, top the league, because then we can if we avoid defeat there, we're still top the league. I think that for Liverpool, it'd be psychologically bad for them as well, because anytime they've been in a title race and teams have challenged Liverpool historically in recent times in kind of the Premier League era, they've crumbled. Last season when they won the league, they did not have a consistent challenger at any stage. They had the league won in December last season. Liverpool, when they got 90-something points, they won the City won the league. They messed up. They drew games they shouldn't have drawn, and that's because they were under pressure. You look at Liverpool back in 2009, and when they were in a title race with Manchester United, Rafa Benitez crumbled. He was talking about Sir Alex Ferguson, and Steven Gerrard said, like, Benitez crumbled. And this is the same thing. Jurgen Klopp is talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United and penalties because Manchester United are in a title race. We win against Burnley. Liverpool are in a vulnerable position at the moment. Virgil van Dijk is injured. Joe Gomez is injured. You've seen against Aston Villa's kids. Liverpool's defence is very vulnerable. I think it's going to be a long time before they have a fully fit squad again. Manchester City, yes, they beat us in the League Cup, but they've also been very inconsistent this season. And you take into consideration, Sergio Aguero can't get fit. Gabriel Jesus is not going to win you a league. Kevin De Bruyne can't do it on his own. This is a prime time for Manchester United, Callum, to really make a statement. And you look at the consistency of the likes of the Bruno Fernandez's. You look at the consistency that Marcus Rashford is developing this season. Post Sir Alex Ferguson, this is the best chance United have as ever to win a Premier League title or even challenge for a Premier League title. So yes, this game against Burnley has massive, massive significance, and we most definitely have to win. At all costs, we have to go there and make a statement.
I'll give you some significance as well, and I've got to be quiet because the missus is in there and she'll hear me say this, but my missus is a Liverpool fan, and if we beat Burnley and we're top, she's already annoyed that we're joint top, so she keeps talking about the goal difference. So if we beat them on Sunday and we go clear of them, she's going to be wanting to move out, so she ain't going to hear the last of it. Because I'm on this roller coaster and I'm enjoying it as well. And I hope to God she doesn't hear me because my bags will be packed after this podcast's finished.
I've just seen Tim saying when we win at Anfield. It's a very bold prediction, Tim. Liverpool have got their injuries, but they're still a side that can trouble the best of teams. But you're right. If a Bruno Fernandes penalty occurs at Anfield, then Klopp might just combust, you know. Just because, Keane, you've called this a must-win game. We've all talked here about United needing to win this game to go to Anfield and try and stamp their authority in that match. With that in mind, Jamie, what would your starting 11 be if you were given the keys to the Manchester United hot seat?
I'd go with the strongest team. I'll give you who I would go with. I think we've got to go gung ho. This week we've got to go with our strongest team in both games. I would go with Dave in goal. I would go with Aaron right back. I would go with a back two of Lindelof, and if fit, I would go with Bailey if he's fit. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with him, and when we can find out if he's sort of okay. Praying to God that he is, bless him. I'd go with Victor purely for the fact of I think Bailly will be out. I'd go with Harry, and I would go with Luke Shaw, left back. I did think Tellers played well yesterday, but I think Luke Shaw is playing better at left back at the moment for me. I actually do love Alex Tellez, but I do think for this game I would go with Luke Shaw. I would go with a midfield two of. I would go with McTominay and Pogba, because I feel like we've got to get a result, and if Pogba has to play, in my opinion, if he's fit and he's able to play, he's got that quality. He can win you a game. He can play that little intricate pass. I would go with Keane's boy, Bruno Fernandes, the main man, and then I would go with on the left. I would go with Rashford because I'm a bit frustrated with Martial at the moment. have the time to go in on him how I would like to. I think his head's been all over the place. I don't know what he's got going on, but he doesn't look the same player at the moment. I think he maybe needs a little bit of time out of the team. He's definitely not a number 9. I'll get onto that in a minute because my propaganda's coming. I would go with, on the right, do you know what? I'm going to be controversial here. I would go with, no, I'm not. Actually, I'm going to change my mind.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to say him. Do you know what it is? I'm just going to say it. I would go with Juan Mata because I was really impressed with his link-up play. I'll be honest with you. I thought his passing yesterday was quality. He won't play, but you're asking me the question if I picked it. I would go with Mata because I feel like Burnley are going to have 2 banks of 4 and we're going to have to play in between them lines, and Mata can play in between them lines. Donny as well. Maybe he would play instead of Pogba. I would personally go with Pogba. And up front, I would go with Tarzan. Cavani, he comes back, give him 90 minutes so he's ready for Liverpool, and world-class striker. 1 chance, 1 goal, Tarzan FC. So yeah, that would be my lineup. But give or take, maybe a couple of players are unlucky not to make the team, like Fred, for example. But I feel like we've got to go on an attack, and I think Fred's made for Liverpool anyway. So don't be surprised if Fred doesn't start against Burnley.
For you, Keane, do you agree with Jamie's team? Would you make any changes?
I agree a good bit of his team. Look, I think there's come to Dylan's comment there. Like, I think with this game against Burnley, I think Boy gets a rest, because if it's only a minor problem, I think if you're going to play him in 1 of the 2 of the games, you play him at Anfield because Liverpool's pace and attack. I think Boy, that game is prime for Boy. I think the game against Burnley, I think if you're going to rest him, if you're going to play him in 1 of them, you have to play Boy at Anfield. But my team is De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back. That's undisputed at the moment because we've no one else. I'm going Lindelof, Maguire, and just simply because I have one eye with Liverpool on the weekend. Boy took a knock. I want him at Anfield. And Luke Shaw at left back. I think he's been consistently one of our best players since he's come back into the team. I think he's very underrated, Luke Shaw. And I think he actually contributes massively in terms of his defensive contributions to the team. So in that regard, Luke Shaw comes in. I agree with Jamie's midfield. I'm going to go with Scott McTominay and Paul Pogba. It's a toss-up for me with Fred or McTominay in there. I think Fred is very well in there. But I think with Burnley's physical kind of attributes, I'm going to put Scott McTominay in there because they will try to get into our face. I think Scott McTominay will do well in that regard. I'm going to put Paul Pogba alongside him as well. So look, I think this is a game where you need to play Paul Pogba back into the middle of the field rather than that left side attacking role, which I think he's done actually quite well there recently. But there's a reason why he's not going to be playing there for me, because I want to play one player on the left side of midfield. I want to start him there and against Burnley. I'm going to give him a reason now in the moment. Number 10, best midfield player in the world, and I'm going to quote that again, the best midfield player in the world, Bruno Fernandes at number 10. And on the right wing, I've gone different to Jamie though. I'm going to go with Mason Greenwood. I thought Greenwood actually played reasonably okay last night, and I think the more games he's starting to get, I think he's a player who can score from half a chance. He's in these games, you're going to need a player who's ice cold. At the moment, Martial isn't showing that. He's off form. So for me, Mason comes in on the right-hand side, because he's someone who I think you give him half a chance off his left, off his right, he's most likely going to put that away. And so Mason Greenwood goes in there for me.
That's who I was going to pick, Keane, when I was going to change my mind, but I just stayed with Mata Greenwood.
I thought you were going to say Dan James.
Nah, for exactly the same reasons as you've just said, mate. If he gets a chance, there's a good chance he'll put it away.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement there. And left side of midfield, I want to see him play here against Burnley, and definitely at Anfield, is Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford plays his best football for Manchester United when he's off that left-hand side. And anytime I know like he can do a job against Burnley, no disrespect to them, but he's like a top player. You'd expect him to do a job against Burnley. But Marcus Rashford going to Anfield against Trent Alexander-Arnold, every time Marcus comes up against him, he has his number. So this is a prime time. Play him on the left against Burnley, have a good performance there, and then you know yourself, get Trent in your pocket again on the weekend, because I think that's massively important. And then up front, back from suspension, at the moment, in my opinion, might be a short-term option, but Edison Cavani up front. In these games, when you're probably only going to get maybe 2-3 chances, you need someone up there who can take them. And Edison Cavani is that striker. You've seen the impact he's made this season. He scored crucial goals. When he signed Callum, I spoke to you after the transfer, on transfer deadline day, when I spoke to you then. And I hadn't major doubts about this signing, because it wasn't talked about all summer. We could have done that deal 8 weeks before we done it. I thought it screamed panic out of Manchester United. We got a player who didn't play since February that year, and we could have done the signing 8 weeks beforehand, and he could have been there from the start of the season, and we didn't have the mess that we had at the start of the season. I thought that I was pessimistic about the signing, if I'd be honest. But since Cavani's come in, he's made a massive impact. And I think as Roy Keane would say, I know I'm after quoting Roy Keane a couple of times. I think it's just because I'm Irish and I'm named after him, it's just so it's force a habit. But as Roy Keane would say, when you go to the trenches and you want someone coming with you, you'd want Edison Cavani. You'd want someone like that who's going to get in the player's face. He's going to get himself about, but also he can bring other players into play. And most importantly, which the most important part of being a striker is, you score goals. And that's exactly what he does. And you look at Liverpool, you look at Burnley centre-halves, they're very physical. Martial will not be up for that battle against them. Edison Cavani will absolutely be up for that battle against them. And also you consider as well, because he hasn't played in 3 games, so he's going to need great minutes going into Anfield. He will get into that. They have a makeshift back four at Anfield at Liverpool at the moment. Cavani gets in their centre-backs' faces, and he'll strike fear into their centre-halves, and also Burnley centre-halves. I know Tarkowski's good, Ben Mee's good, but Edison Cavani is different class. And I'd liken him to Robin Van Persie. Like, he's ice cold.
If you're a centre-back, when you see Cavani's name, it doesn't matter about his age. It's playing against Edison Cavani tonight. It's in here. It's like you just said, Keane. Same with Van Persie. People don't want to play against world-class strikers. Centre-backs don't want to be playing. And I feel like he's got the personality, and he's also got the quality to strike fear in Tarkowski and me straight away, and particularly the boys that play for Liverpool. Because we'll be up for it. I think their fan base are clinging on to the fact of, wow, we'll be up for it, man. We're Liverpool. United are coming to us. We're going to be up for it as well, you know. And then players are going to know, if we're top of the table and we go and get points at Anfield, it's realistically very possible to keep that momentum going, and that will give them a massive confidence boost. And they have to come to Old Trafford in the season, and if they need to win that game, we're not going to be too far off of a title, because whoever finishes above Liverpool are probably going to win the league. So spot on with that, Keane. Sorry to cut you off, mate. I didn't mean that.
Yeah, but look, that's my team, and I think that's good enough to beat Burnley. And look, the Liverpool preview is coming later on in the week, so I'm not going to talk too much about what my team will be going there, because it's different to what I have here. But that team goes to Turf Moor, and most importantly, that gets 3 points, and then we can have a view at Sunday.
Just before we go, you've talked about Liverpool. That's the game that so many people are going to look at. But it is important, like you said earlier, Jamie, you take things one game at a time. You treat Burnley as the most important game of the season. Your prediction, Jamie?
I think it'll be a very scrappy game, because they're going to make it. They're going to put 2 banks of 4, as they do all the time. Burnley do take a little bit of time to break down, but I think United will do the job. They'll get the 3 points, as Jamie said, and I think we'll win 2-0. I think it'll be we'll get a goal mid to late first half, and I feel like we'll get a second mid to late second half, and it'll put them to bed. I can't see them causing us too many problems, although they do play with 2 strikers up front, so we'll have to be wary. But the players will be briefed this week, and they will know that the fan base expects them to be going there and getting a result. And when you've got the likes of Cavani and Bruno Fernandes in that dressing room telling the players, look, now is the time to perform. We keep getting called the never the bridesmaid, never the bride, always the bridesmaid at the moment with this semi-finals. So they ain't going to want to be knocked out of the League Cup semi-finals, and then they've got an opportunity to put it right with the fans. They're not going to want to let us down. So more than happy that we're going to get the job done against them. 2-0 penalty. what Amy said.
Keane, your prediction?
I'm gonna go 3-0 Manchester United. For me, you have to go there and you have to make a statement. I think you go there and you put a couple of goals past them. It puts a marker down. And for me, Burnley have been on great form now. Look, I'm happy for them that they got their takeover, and hopefully they get some investment in, because I think Sean Dyche deserves it. I think, look, he's done a fantastic job within his means at Burnley. But all things considered, we have a fully fit squad now, bar Phil Jones. He's not a starter anyway. But we have a fully fit squad now with everybody available. I think we go there and we should win 3-0. I'm going to go Cavani getting 2, and I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford also getting on the score sheet, because I'm keeping that Bruno penalty for next week.
If
Well, there
Cavani
you go.
scores 2 goals, then my Twitter better get ready for the propaganda, because that's coming big style. But Dylan made a good point as well. Shout out to Dylan. Always talks sense when he talks United. He's made a very good point there as well. That's a very, very good point. Burnley are a dangerous team in the air, so we do need to be mindful of that. I just wanted to give you a shout out, Dylan, because I think you're class when you're on these shows, mate, with your analysis. But that's a really, really good point. So, yeah, we're going to have to be switched on defensively. It's not all about the attack. I think everybody thinks we're going to have to go and blow them away, but they have 2 very physical strikers, and they get balls in from wide with the likes of Robbie Brady. So, good point there, Dylan. Set pieces and delivery, we do need to be switched on. Hence why I went for Luke Shaw, because I think Tellez is a little bit more attack-minded, and I feel like we're going to need to be good defensively as well. Luke Shaw is quite good in the air, and his delivery has really impressed me this season from his corners and stuff. So I think he'll play. He'll play in my team anyway, so we'll go with that.
Well, you've heard it from Keane, you've heard it from Jamie. They're predicting a Manchester United win against Burnley. We can only hope that's the case ahead of Liverpool at the weekend. Keane and Co will be back with a preview of the Liverpool game. As always, follow @Weekly Armchair on Twitter and help the platform grow. Keane and his team do sensational work, and it's just an honour to be a part of this, even in a small part. All the best from myself as well, and we'll see you again next time.
Take it easy, everybody.